Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer active in the impoverished districts in and around Whitechapel in the East End of London in 1888. In both criminal case files and the contemporary journalistic accounts, the killer was called the Whitechapel Murderer in Leather Apron. The From Hell letter received by George Lusk of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee came with half of a preserved human kidney, purportedly taken from one of the victims. The public came increasingly to believe in a single serial killer known as Jack the Ripper, mainly because of both the extraordinarily brutal nature of the murders and media coverage of the crimes. A police investigation into a series of 11 brutal murders committed in Whitechapel and Spitalfields between 1888 and 1891 was unable to connect all the killings conclusively to the murders of 1888. 5 victims known as the Canonical Five, and their murders between the 31st of August and the 9th of November 1888, are often considered the most likely to be linked. The murders were never solved, and the legend surrounding these crimes became a combination of historical research, folklore, and capturing public imagination to the present day. In October 1888, London's Metropolitan Police Service estimated that there were 62 brothels and 1,200 women working as prostitutes in Whitechapel. 11 separate murders, stretching from the 3rd of April 1888 to the 13th of February 1891, were included in a London Metropolitan Police Service investigation and were known collectively in the police docket as the Whitechapel murders. Opinions vary as to whether these murders should be linked to the same culprit, but 5 of the 11 Whitechapel murders, known as the Canonical Five, are widely believed to be the work of the Ripper. Most experts point to deep slash wounds to the throat, followed by extensive abdominal and genital area mutilation, the removal of internal organs, and progressive facial mutilations as the distinctive features of the Ripper's modus operandi. The Canonical Five Ripper victims are Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. The body of Mary Ann Nichols was discovered at about 3:40 a.m. on Friday the 31st of August 1888 in Bucks Row. Nichols had last been seen alive approximately 1 hour before the discovery of her body by Mrs. Emily Holland, with whom she had previously shared a bed at a common lodging house in Thrall Street, Spitalfields. Her throat was severed by 2 deep cuts. Her vagina had been stabbed twice, and the lower part of her abdomen was partly ripped open by a deep jagged wound. 1 week later, on Saturday the 8th of September 1888, the body of Annie Chapman was discovered at approximately 6 a.m. near the steps to the doorway of the backyard of 29 Hanbury Street, Spitalfields. Chapman's autopsy also revealed that her uterus and sections of her bladder and vagina had been removed. As in the case of Mary Ann Nichols, the throat was severed by 2 deep cuts. Stride's body was discovered at approximately 1 a.m. off Burner Street in Whitechapel. The cause of death was a single clear-cut incision, measuring 6 inches across her neck. The absence of any further mutilations to her body has led to uncertainty as to whether Stride's murder was committed by the Ripper, or whether he was interrupted during the attack. Eddowes's body was found in a corner of Mitre Square in the City of London. Her throat was severed from ear to ear and her abdomen ripped open by a long, deep and jagged wound. The left kidney and the major part of Eddowes's uterus had been removed, and her face had been disfigured. The extensively mutilated and disemboweled body of Mary Jane Kelly was discovered lying on the bed in the single room where she lived at 13 Miller's Court, Spitalfields at 10:45 a.m. on Friday the 9th of November 1888. Her face had been disfigured with her throat severed down to the spine, and the abdomen almost emptied of its organs. Her uterus, kidneys and one breast had been placed beneath her head, and the other of its organ were placed near her body on the bed, but the heart was missing from the crime scene. In September 1888, a group of volunteer citizens in London's East End formed the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee. They patrolled the streets looking for suspicious characters, partly because of dissatisfaction with the failure of police to apprehend the perpetrator. The committee petitioned the government to raise a reward for information leading to the arrest of the killer, and hired private detectives to question witnesses independently. At the end of October, Robert Anderson asked police surgeon Thomas Bond to give his opinion on the extent of the murderer's surgical skill and knowledge. Bond was strongly opposed to the idea that the murderer possessed any kind of scientific or anatomical knowledge, or even the technical knowledge of a butcher. Bond also stated that the homicidal impulse may have developed from a revengeful condition of the mind, or that religious mania may have been the original disease.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.